Welcome to today's Lost Souls, where we bring you the most impactful and unforgettable stories from around the world. Today, we remember the lives of remarkable individuals whose legacies continue to inspire and resonate. From iconic musicians to trailblazing activists, join us as we celebrate their extraordinary contributions and bid farewell to those who have left an indelible mark on our lives. Stay tuned for a journey through their incredible stories.
Thierry Ardisson. Thierry Ardisson, trailblazing French television journalist, host, and prolific producer, famously nicknamed the Man in Black for his iconic monochrome wardrobe, passed away in Paris on July 14, 2025, succumbing to liver cancer after months of illness. His death was confirmed by his wife, journalist Audrey Crespo-Marat, who described Ardisson as having passed away as he lived, a courageous and free man, surrounded by their blended family up until his final breath. For nearly 40 years, Ardisson stood as a pillar and provocateur of French television. His career began in advertising, where he penned memorable slogans, but it was his innovation and audacity as a television host and producer that left the indelible mark. Ardisson revolutionized the French talk show format with programs like Bains de Minuit, Lunettes Noires, Pour Nuits Blanches, to Le Monde en Parle Salut, Les Terriens, and Paris Dernière. To Le Monde en Parle in particular became a cultural touchstone, known for its irreverence, candid conversations, and Ardisson's knack for breaking television's conventions. He brought his signature mix of wit, irony, and boundary pushing to each project, crafting shows where guests were both entertained and challenged. His style was unmistakable, always clad in black, delivering interviews with a blend of insolence and intelligence that delighted and sometimes scandalized viewers. Ardisson was renowned for inventing recurring interview formats and catchphrases, such as Info OU, Intox, and L'Interview, Premier Voice, that became staples of French pop culture. Through these, he modernized and democratized television conversation, injecting it with humor, controversy, and genuine curiosity. Ardisson was not just a presenter, but an author, screenwriter, and media entrepreneur. He published several books, including bestsellers and an autobiography, L'Homme Noir, which he promoted in the final months of his life, marking his enduring connection to both the media and the public. Beyond television, he produced films and remained active in cultural debates, never hesitating to defend his views. Known as a legitimist royalist, he maintained enduring friendships, including with Louis-Alphonse de Bourbon, the royalist pretender to the French throne. The outpouring of tributes from colleagues, celebrities, and political figures reflects Ardisson's influence across generations. He was described as a voice, a presence, a character. He invented a tone, a style, a way of receiving without ever submitting. With him, we laughed, overflowed, learned. Insolence, excesses, freedom of expression as we'll never see again on TV. Capturing why his legacy is deeply woven into the fabric of French media. With his passing, French television loses not only a master of the talk show, but a fearless creator who broke boundaries, challenged taboos, and celebrated the art of television as a mirror and, sometimes, the conscience of society. Dave Cousins. Dave Cousins was the founding member, lead singer, and guitarist of the progressive folk rock band Strawbs, a group that originated in London in 1964. He was the sole constant member of the band throughout its many transformations, guiding its evolution from folk to progressive rock, and was beloved for his distinctive voice and songwriting. Cousins' musical journey spanned over 6 decades, making him a key figure in the folk and prog rock scenes. The Strawbs first gained prominence in the late 1960s and 1970s, with hits like Part of the Union, which reached number 2 on the UK singles chart in 1973, and the progressive rock favourite Lay Down. A hallmark of the band was its blending of folk sensibilities with rock experimentation, highlighted by the contributions of members such as Rick Wakeman before his move to Yes. Over their career, the Strawbs released 23 studio albums and toured extensively, leaving an enduring influence on progressive folk music. Cousins himself was a multi-instrumentalist, songwriter, and vocalist whose lyrical storytelling and musical craft earned him great respect. Beyond his work with Strawbs, he contributed spoken word parts to Def Leppard's 1980 debut album. Demonstrating his versatility, health challenges affected Cousins in his later years, including a major cancer operation and other medical procedures, leading him to retire from live performing around 2021, though he briefly returned for a special appearance in 2022. The Strawbs officially closed their live chapter with a farewell concert at Fairport's Property Convention in August 2023. His last studio album with Strawbs, The Magic of It All, was completed in 2023 and showcased collaborations with musicians from South Africa, as well as bandmates from the classic era. Dave Cousins died peacefully at Pilgrim's Hospice in Canterbury, Kent, at the age of 85. Tributes have poured in from fans, fellow musicians, and industry figures who celebrate his extraordinary contribution to music and his kind and resilient spirit. He was recognized for his lifelong dedication to his art, shaping a unique path through folk and progressive music history. David Richmond Gergen, was a distinguished American political advisor and commentator, whose influential career spanned 4 presidential administrations across party lines, including those of Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, Ronald Reagan, and Bill Clinton. He passed away on July 10, 2025, at a retirement community in Lexington, Massachusetts, due to complications from Lewy body dementia, a progressive brain disease affecting cognition and movement. Born on May 9, 1942, in Durham, North Carolina, Gergen was known for his sharp political insight, communication skills, and his role shaping presidential public images and policies. Early in his career, he joined the Nixon White House as part of the speechwriting team and later became Director of Communications for Presidents Ford and Reagan, and Senior Advisor to President Clinton and Secretary of State Warren Christopher. His work was instrumental in pivotal moments, most notably during the 1980 presidential election, when he advised Ronald Reagan to ask voters the infamous rhetorical question, "Are you better off than you were 4 years ago?" a query credited with helping Reagan secure his victory. Beyond his decades in government, Gergen became a prominent political analyst on CNN and served as founding director of the Center for Public Leadership at Harvard Kennedy School, influencing generations of leaders. He was also a prolific author, editor, and public speaker. Known for promoting civility and centrism in American politics, Gergen was celebrated for his kindness, integrity, and dedication to public service. He earned 27 honorary degrees and contributed significantly to political discourse until his health declined due to Lewy body dementia, which was publicly revealed by his daughter in late 2024. David Gergen's passing marks the loss of a towering figure in American politics, whose legacy as a bipartisan advisor, educator, and commentator left an indelible mark on the nation's political landscape. Langley Perer, a respected film producer, writer, and manager at Mosaic Media Group, died on June 25, 2025, in Los Angeles after a courageous 4-year battle with cancer. She was 44 years old. Throughout her career, Langley was celebrated for her intelligence, humor, and vibrant spirit, qualities that left a lasting impact on those who worked with her. Mosaic founder Jimmy Miller described her as one of the remarkable women of our time, noting that she was the brightest of lights, who would change the temperature in the room, and applauding her as funny, smart, and beautiful. Langley began her career as an assistant at the Gersh Agency before advancing to a literary manager role at Benderspink in 2003. She later joined Mosaic Media Group, where she managed and fostered the careers of various entertainment professionals, including Olivia Milk, Stacey Harmon, Max Nichols, Ryan Engel, and Laura Leclerc. Her talent and dedication helped launch projects and careers in both film and television. As a film producer, Langley's notable credits include the 2011 remake of Arthur, I Am Number 4 2011, and Dude 2018. She was actively involved in a comedy project titled Treatable in her later years. Despite her illness, she maintained an optimistic and daring spirit, inspiring collaborators like Olivia Milk, who called working with Langley one of the greatest blessings of her life. Langley's battle with cancer began when she was diagnosed with ductal carcinoma in situ DCIS, a non-invasive form of breast cancer. At 35, despite undergoing a double mastectomy after testing positive for the BRCA gene, her cancer metastasized to her brain by 2021. Throughout this fight, Langley remained courageous and focused on her family, including her husband, writer-producer Scott Rosenberg, and their 2 children, Sawyer and Bowie. Her family has encouraged donations to cancer research in her memory. Langley Perer's legacy is that of a vibrant, intelligent, and compassionate woman who profoundly influenced her industry and inspired those around her, even in the face of immense personal challenges. Mark Lipsitz, the esteemed CEO and longtime label manager of Bar None Records, died suddenly on July 5, 2025, from a heart attack. He was 61 years old. Lipsitz was widely respected as a passionate artist advocate who played a pivotal role in developing and supporting numerous musicians throughout his career, making a lasting impact on the independent music scene. Born in 1963, Lipsitz grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, before moving to New York City, where he spent much of his professional life. During his college years at the University of Kansas, he managed the college radio station KJHK, an early indication of his deep passion for music. His career began with a sales role at Important Distribution and progressed to a significant tenure at Seed Records, where he helped cultivate artists such as Ivy, Madda Rose, and the Pastels. In 2001, Lipsitz joined Bar None Records, eventually becoming its CEO. Under his leadership, the label fostered the careers of noted acts including Ivy, Ezra Furman, the Front Bottoms, and the legendary Alex Chilton of Big Star. His commitment to pushing artists to be their best extended beyond business, as he nurtured friendships and professional networks that shaped the independent music landscape. Artists and colleagues remember him as a fierce advocate and mentor who tirelessly championed the musicians he discovered. Bar None Records and the music community mourn his sudden loss, highlighting his warmth, dedication, and the rich legacy he leaves behind. The pop band Ivy expressed their devastation, reflecting on Lipsitz's tragedy and his significant influence on their careers. Mark Lipsitz's passing is a profound loss for the music industry. His work and spirit will continue to inspire artists and fans alike, immortalizing him as a key figure who enriched the lives of many through his passion for music. Tom Selleck, born on January 29, 1945 in Detroit, Michigan, Thomas William Selleck arrived at the tail end of World War II, carrying the hope of a fresh American era. His father, Robert, a disciplined executive turned real estate investor, preached that hard work built character, while his mother, Martha, filled the house with books and imagination, reading adventure tales aloud at the dinner table. Young Tom split his time between mowing neighborhood lawns for coins and sketching comic book heroes whose square jaws mirrored his own. When the family relocated to California, palm trees and ocean breezes rewrote his sensory map, trading factory skylines for Hollywood billboards. Weekend drives down the Pacific Coast Highway became informal acting classes as he imitated radio announcers and movie trailers, honing the resonant baritone that would later echo in living rooms worldwide. In those early miles, he learned that stories, when told with conviction, could turn ordinary moments into legend. At Grant High School in the San Fernando Valley, Tom was an unassuming student until a growth spurt stretched him to 6'4", turning him into the forward on the basketball court. Coaches marveled at his coordination, yet he remained more interested in comic timing than court strategy, often using halftime to entertain teammates with spat-in impressions of television detectives. Balancing academics, athletics, and a job at a clothing store, he learned the discipline of schedules, a skill that would later let him endure days that started with 4 a.m. call times and ended under studio lights long after midnight. Teachers noticed his knack for storytelling during English presentations, where his slow, confident cadence silenced even the rowdiest class. Those encouraging nods planted a secret ambition. Maybe performing could be a career, not just a lunchtime diversion. But in mid-century America, acting felt as distant as the moon, still years away from its historic landing. Although academics won him a scholarship to Los Angeles Valley College, basketball earned him headlines. And in 1965, Southern California recruited him to bolster its Trojan roster. Tom transferred, majoring in business while juggling practices. That tested stamina and resolve. He lived in a cramped fraternity room whose walls were plastered with movie posters, echoes of a different dream. During junior year, a campus drama coach persuaded him to audition for a Pepsi commercial, promising quick cash. The resulting 30-second spot aired in prime time and flooded him with a rush. No buzzer beater could match. Executives at 20th Century Fox noticed his profile and offered an acting workshop, but the studio system soon collapsed, leaving new talent adrift. Yet Tom treated setback as training. Each rejection hardened the self-possession that would become his on-screen signature. He finished his degree and considered an MBA, unaware that destiny was already loading film stock across town. When momentum seemed assured, Selleck received a draft notice and joined the California Army National Guard in 1967, serving 6 years, and rising to sergeant. Uniformed life reinforced habits honed on basketball courts, teaching him to move with purpose and listen before speaking. Traits casting directors later called magnetic restraint. On weekend leave, he crisscrossed Los Angeles, slipping headshot to agencies whose walls were a mosaic of ambition. Between auditions, he modeled in toothpaste ads. His famous mustache, still years away, replaced by a clean-cut grin, ready to sell cheddar. Pilot seasons brought near misses. He appeared on The Dating Game twice, lost a role in Charlie's Angels, and filmed a doomed detective pilot. Yet every almost became another brick in a hidden foundation, training him to treat the camera like a confidant instead of a judge, a nuance viewers would later sense instantly. He rented a sofa in North Hollywood, splitting utilities for Waze and eating tuna. By the mid-1970s, Tom's distinctive look had matured shoulders, smile, and an iconic mustache crowning a mischievous gaze. Despite appearances, he felt locked in a holding pattern, watching classmates rocket ahead in corporate careers while he chased fleeting guest spots on shows like Marcus Welby, MD, and The $6 Million Man. To stay sharp, he studied acting with Milton Catalyst, dissecting scenes until motivation, intention, and subtext became muscle memory between classes. He drove a battered pickup loaded with softball gear, organizing weekend games that mixed struggling actors with studio grips, networking, disguised as recreation. Each cracked bat under a summer sun served as rehearsal for the camaraderie audiences would later feel in every bar scene of Magnum PI. Evenings ended with hand-rolled cigars on the balcony where Tom and friends raided sunsets and vowed to stick it out one more pilot season, certain that perseverance would prove more valuable than raw luck. The break, when it came, was deceptively small. A brief appearance in the 1978 film, Coma, where his stoic presence in a hospital gown turned heads at casting offices seeking charisma with credibility. That same year, he filmed the pilot for Magnum PI, though network indecision shelled it for 2 seasons. Instead of despair, Tom saw extra training time. He grew out the mustache, refined his Hawaiian slang, and lifted weights until Hawaiian shirts fit like armor. He spent evenings on Oahu porches with Vietnam veterans, absorbing stories that would later color Magnum's layered backstory. By the time CBS finally greenlit the series in 1980, Selleck was a fully realized version of the hero audiences were about to adore. Childhood curiosity, athletic discipline, military service, and relentless study had fused into a singular force, poised to dominate American pop culture and redefine television cool for a generation. Each step, even failures, quietly guided him toward inevitable fame. The year 1980 ignited Tom Selleck's rise when CBS finally rolled out Magnum PI on a Friday night schedule, starving for lighthearted adventure. Within a month, The shiny Ferrari 308 GT's flowered shirts and perfectly groomed mustache had leaped from television flicker to cultural shot on location across Oahu. Episodes blended detective intrigue with postcard vistas, while Magnum's voiceover bridged tough guy bravado and self-deprecating wit. Audiences felt invited to paradise, yet drawn into authentic stakes whenever the Private Eye's Vietnam scars resurfaced. The pilot crushed Nielsen charts, triggering a merchandise boom: model cars, Aloha shirts, even disposable razors, promising Magnum smooth. By season 3, the series was syndicated in 48 countries, proving that an easy grin and rebellious Aloha attitude could translate into every language. Network executives hailed the show as the anchor that saved their primetime lineup, and advertisers clamored to place products beside Hawaii's sapphire waters. Selleck, once an unbilled guest star, became the household face of 1980s American cool. Behind the camera, Selleck's athletic discipline turned humid island shoots into orchestras of punctuality. He memorized crew names, carried sandbags when lighting rigs bogged down, and insisted on performing many of his own stunts to lend tactile credibility. He spent off days mapping helicopter angles with directors and jotting story tweaks that deepened Magnum's friendships with Higgins, Rick, and TC, eventually earning an executive consultant credit by season 2. That formal influence allowed him to infuse episodes with themes of post-war trauma and loyalty that elevated the show beyond postcard entertainment. The leadership style echoed his National Guard training, quiet authority over ego, which fostered a set atmosphere so harmonious that crew turnover stayed among the lowest in prime time. Industry rumors note that visiting network chiefs often pointed to Magnum as a masterclass in morale-driven efficiency. Later, mirroring its production playbook on other series. Such behind-the-scenes prowess foreshadowed the longevity that would carry his career well past one signature role. Award bodies soon followed public fervor. In 1984, Selleck claimed the Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series, and the Golden Globe followed in 1985, cementing critical respect for what skeptics once labeled mere charm. Concurrently, America shaved and waxed in imitation as grooming brands launched Magnum product lines, while Chrysler hired him to narrate commercials that spiked sales of its new sports coupe. Ironically, contractual obligations to CBS cost him the whip and fedora of Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yet, that near miss only sharpened his determination to diversify. He parlayed fame into lucrative endorsement deals, magazine covers, and a People's Sexiest Man Alive crown. But he remained focused on storytelling craft, attending writer meetings and studying scripts long into tropical nights. By Magnum's 8th season finale in 1988, audiences wept as helicopters lifted off Sunset Beach, unaware that Selleck had already lined up silver screen maneuvers to keep his momentum roaring. His film pivot landed with thunder when Three Men and a Baby barreled into cinemas late 1987. Fusing bachelor comedy with unexpected tenderness, the picture grossed $167 million domestically, topping the year's box office and proving his draw beyond televisions. The sequel, Three Men and a Little Lady, maintained charm, while Western revivalists praised his sharpshooting turn in Quigley Down Under, 1990, filmed amid dusty Australian vistas that reignited genre interest. He later tackled Fish Out of Water. Laughs in Mr. Baseball, 1992, romantic intrigue in Her Alibi, and dramatic chops opposite Kevin, Clean in and Out, 1997. Though some releases underperformed, each strengthened his range. Studio executives saw a leading man able to anchor comedy, action, and heartfelt drama with equal conviction. Crucially, Selleck negotiated producer credits that taught him budgets, marketing strategies, and global distribution, education that would prove invaluable when sculpting his own future television vehicles. Entering the 2000s, Selleck sidestepped the slump that claims many era icons by curating prestige television. He portrayed General Dwight Eisenhower in Ike, Countdown to D-Day, shaved the legendary mustache, and earned praise for stoic nuance. A memorable multi-EP episode, Turn as Monica's boyfriend, Dr. Richard Burke, on Friends, introduced him to millennials, spiking ratings each time he appeared. Yet his most calculated move came with the Jesse Stone film series beginning in 2005. Adapting Robert B. Parker's novels about a troubled small-town police chief, acting as star, co-writer, and executive producer, Selleck crafted an atmospheric, neo and noir, whose slow-burn pacing contrasted sharply with frenetic procedurals of the day. Critics hailed the introspective storytelling, and the franchise spawned 9 installments, each premiering to strong cable numbers and DVD sales, proving there was still a market for character-driven mystery anchored by measured gravitas rather than flashy gadgetry. That mastery of ensemble drama set the stage for Blue Bloods, debuting on CBS in 2010 with Selleck as New York Police Commissioner Frank Reagan, patriarch, moral compass, and quiet battlefield general across weekly the show's signature Sunday dinner scenes, where multi-generational cops debate justice and loyalty over roast beef, resonated with viewers craving stable family bonds amid modern uncertainty. Ratings consistently dominated Friday nights, pushing the series past its 250th episode and securing syndication on streaming platforms worldwide. Selleck's restrained authority, equal parts empathy and steel, anchored younger cast members and earned him yet another wave of fan devotion. Even after 11 seasons, he maintained a rigorous work ethic, early morning script runs, precinct research trips, and continued advocacy for crew safety protocols. By nurturing Blue Blood dudes into a decade-spanning success, Tom Selleck reaffirmed his unique ability to steer television franchises across eras without losing the authenticity that first captured hearts in the Hawaiian sunshine. From the outside, Tom Selleck still projects the bulletproof vigor of Magnum days, yet keeping a 6:4 frame camera ready into his late 70s has required a disciplined wellness blueprint anchored at his Ventura County avocado ranch. Dawn begins with barn chores that double as functional fitness, hauling feed bags, grooming quarter horses, and mending pasture fences, all calibrated to raise heart rate without the joint shock of iron plates. Breakfast follows his long-standing balanced thirds rule: lean protein, complex carbs, and fresh produce often gathered from his own citrus groves. Afternoons feature low-impact resistance circuits designed by a former Navy PT instructor and finished with pull laps that lengthen muscles while sparing tendons stressed by decades of stunt work. Evenings wind down with guitar practice and 30 minutes of guided breathwork, a mental hygiene ritual as non-negotiable as shoe polish on set. The result is a physique less about youth and more about reliable horsepower that can still shoulder a police commissioner's trench coat. Though seldom publicized, years of action sequences left an orthopedic ledger. In 1997, routine arthroscopic surgery scraped bone spurs from his right knee after a 3 men and a baby pickup shot required repeated sprinting with a 30-pound infant. Prop shoulder cartilage tore during an improvised tackle scene in the 5th Magnum PI season. Refusing a body double, he finished the day before, heading to a Honolulu clinic for cortisone. Recurring lumbar pain flared during Blue Blood's rooftop chases, culminating in a 2014 microasectomy that he scheduled during the summer hiatus. So, producers lost only 3 shooting days: rehabilitation, mixed water therapy, Pilates, reformer sessions, and a custom standing desk on set so he could review scripts without compressing the spine. Each procedure reinforced his mantra that recovery is a form of rehearsal, methodical, patient, and critical to delivering a believable performance when the director finally calls action. Public fascination with aging icons birthed periodic speculation about more serious illness. In 2019, viral tabloid headlines claimed drastic weight loss and mystery meds, yet in a Calm People magazine interview, Selleck clarified the pounds were trimmed intentionally on a nutritionist-supervised anti-inflammatory diet meant to ease joint stiffness. He disclosed no chronic disease diagnosis, only standard maintenance like statins for cholesterol and a nightly turmeric tonic recommended by his wife. Jilly, who researches holistic approaches with the diligence of a showrunner. Mental resilience receives equal attention. He journals gratitude, practices transcendental meditation, and limits screen time to scripted work, believing scrolling erodes a storytelling focus. That holistic outlook, he says, keeps reprise offers flowing. Even as younger actors cycle through Hollywood's revolving door, fans see a mustache. He sees a reminder that routine, shave lines, roll scripts, feed horses, still outruns Father Time. The CO-19 pandemic tested even his meticulous systems. During the 2020 production freeze, he converted a hay barn into a socially distanced gym, filming PSA spots, urging veterans to seek telehealth services rather than postpone care. Once Blue Blood Dudes resumed under strict protocols, he submitted to thrice-weekly PCR swabs and insisted crew receive full pay for any quarantine days. A gesture the union later cited as model leadership. Vaccinated early through a SAG-AFTRA initiative, he experienced only mild fatigue and used the downtime to outline a 10th Jesse Stone script. A brief breakthrough infection in April 2022 slowed him just long enough to finish editing his photography book on classic American trucks. Nearing 80, he now champions prostate and colon screenings, partnering with the American Cancer Society. After losing a stunt team colleague to late-stage melanoma, his health narrative, while peppered with surgeries and rumors, ultimately reads as a blueprint for graceful endurance rather than decline. Despite a career defined by charisma and success, Tom Selleck's life has not been without emotional weight, especially when it comes to the quiet, private losses that shaped the man behind the camera. One of the most profound was the death of his father, Robert Selleck, in 2001. A former executive and real estate investor, Robert was Tom's original blueprint for calm leadership and integrity. Their relationship, once strained during Tom's uncertain, early acting years, had matured into a deep mutual respect. Robert lived to see his son's achievements and even visited the Blue Blood set in its early concept stages. His passing at age 79 left Tom feeling like the symbolic reins of the family had passed solely to him. He responded by deepening ties with his own children and creating new Thanksgiving traditions on the ranch in Robert's honor. In interviews, Tom often references his father's wisdom with phrases like, "That's what Dad would have said," showing how loss evolved into an internal compass. Equally impactful was the loss of his longtime friend and early mentor, James Garner. Selleck frequently credited Garner, best known for The Rockford Files and Maverick, as a model of how to lead a television series without letting ego override. Empathy. The two actors shared a similar blend of dry humor and effortless charm, and they formed a private friendship rooted in respect for the craft. When Garner passed away in 2014, Selleck gave a heartfelt tribute, calling him a trailblazer who knew when to listen, when to act, and when to get out of the way. That loss seemed to mark a generational passing of the torch, one where Selleck became, willingly or not, a steward of that gentleman actor ethos now rare in Hollywood. In the years since, Tom has used that legacy to mentor younger co-stars on Blue Bloods, often inviting them to his ranch to rehearse scenes and discuss career choices beyond the screen. On the personal front, Tom has also navigated complex waters of marriage and family, including moments of tension and strain that, while not losses in the conventional sense, carried emotional weight. His first marriage to model Jacqueline Ray ended in 1982 after 11 years. Though their split was amicable, it came at a pivotal time when Magnum PI was exploding in popularity and media scrutiny made privacy nearly impossible. Tom has said little publicly about that chapter, only noting that fame altered his work-life balance in ways he didn't fully grasp until years later. He remained a father figure to Jaqueline's son, Kevin, raising him as his own even after the marriage ended. That continued bond, especially through Kevin's struggles with addiction and legal issues, tested Tom's emotional resilience and commitment to family values. Core principles instilled by his parents and reinforced by his time in the military. Another undercurrent of grief quietly touches his relationship with his only biological child, Hannah, whom he shares with his current wife, Jilly Mack. While their bond remained strong, often seen riding horses together or working the family avocado farm. Tom has been open about missing parts of her early childhood due to filming demands. "I was present but not always available," he once admitted. That absence, though subtle, served as a personal reckoning. In response, he scaled back on major roles throughout the late 1990s and early 2000s, focusing instead on smaller film projects or voiceover work that let him stay closer to home. The time spent reclaiming that father-daughter connection, he has said, was the most meaningful chapter of his life. One born not of tragedy, but of self-awareness, earned through years of public triumph and private sacrifice. On a present-day Monday, before Los Angeles traffic thickens, Tom Selleck climbs into his charcoal pickup and guides it towards Stage 3 at Brooklyn Studios, where Blue Blood's interiors now live during off-season shoots. Podcasts of old radio. Dramas spill through the speakers while he rehearses commissioner dialogue, keeping cadence razor-sharp after 15 seasons. By 6 a.m., he's in wardrobe, knotting the NYPD dress tie himself to honor real officers, then leading a brisk script huddle to tweak courtroom jargon. Cameras roll by 8, and he nails scenes in 2 takes, freeing afternoon daylight for ranch duties. Back in Ventura County, there he trades trenchcoat for denim and reins, checking avocado irrigation, exercising quarter horses, and coaching wranglers with the same steady voice director's praise on set. City and country rhythms interlock like spliced film, one world lit by Klieg lights, the other by California sun, offering a daily double life that perfectly straddles studio grit and soil under fingernails authenticity beyond the lens. Fronts a trio of philanthropic projects engineered with the precision that once tuned Magnum's red Ferrari. Homeward Valor funds service dog training for combat veterans. Twice a month, he and wife Jill host brisket cookouts, auctioning signed cowboy hats beside live country bands. The second venture, the Selleck Scholarship, channels residual profits into film school grants for first-generation students, honoring the academic route he nearly took. Finally, he partners with California's Department of Forestry to replant wildfire guard hillsides, personally running chainsaws during community workdays. Publicity is minimal by design. Invitations arrive via handwritten cards, and attendees leave with seedlings rather than selfies. These endeavors, he says, keep fame from becoming insulation. Every handshake grounds him in gratitude. Every dig of a shovel reminds him narratives can heal landscapes as surely as they entertain audiences. Creatively, Selleck treats longevity as permission to explore rather than coast. He's co-writing a limited series western for a major streamer, adapting Elmore Leonard's Valdez's, coming with a clause that practical stunts trump CGI, and each horse receives its own stunt coordinator. Between drafts, he narrates a Smithsonian documentary on America's vanished cattle trails, the baritone that once sold razors, now guiding viewers across dusty panoramas. A photo essay book titled Chrome and Leather, Roadside America on 2 Wheels releases next spring, featuring images shot during solo motorcycle trips from Montana to Key West. Even cameo offers like voicing an animated sheriff in a holiday special aren't dismissed outright. He weights each gig by the story's moral spine, not the paycheck. The inbox stays full, yet he curates roles with the patience of event, believing every late career credit should add depth to the arc rather than dilute the legend. At home, the Selleck household balances ritual and spontaneity. Jill, partner of 3 decades, runs a small batch candle studio whose scents, Pacific Saddle, Island Nightshoot, Commissioner Study, waft through evening rooms while they cook farm-to-table dinners, cornbread topped with vineworm, tomatoes, and a splash of estate-pressed olive oil. Daughter Hannah, now an international showjumper, boards her competition horses in a new barn beside the avocado groves, allowing father and daughter to trade training tips between Blue Blood's call sheets. Tom's son Kevin, whom he adopted during his first marriage, visits often, bringing grandkids who race ATVs along orchard roads before collapsing into hammock story time. Sundays remain sacred. No screens, no interviews, just family hymn book and a sunset ride to the far ridge, where they salute the Pacific and remember parents, whose lessons still echo in each hoofbeat and prayer. Asked recently whether retirement tempts him, Selick leaned back, thumbs hooking belt loops, and replied that storytelling feels less like a career than an ecosystem he refuses to abandon. As long as scripts arrive and Frost fans need switching on at 2 a.m., he intends to keep straddling both worlds. The moustache endures, trimmed weekly by the same barber who prepped him for Magnum's pilot. A tangible through-in from wider Detroit beginnings to ranch-seasoned present. Legacy conversations don't fluster him. He simply hopes future audiences find comfort in characters who face danger with humor and integrity. For now, tomorrow's calendar holds another sunrise feed round, another courtroom scene under studio lights, and another chapter to write in a western where honor still rides tall. In Tom Selleck's book, that blend of duty and wonder is the only true definition of happily ever after. Tom Selleck's saga arcs from factory-grade Detroit to palm-lit California, a reel that opens on a boy pushing lawnmowers and sketching comic book heroes before homework. The family's westward leap delivered blue sky and billboards, and with them the first hint that stories could be a livelihood. Basketball at USC taught him to run set plays with 6'4" precision. National Guard drills hammered discipline, and a 30-second soda commercial ignited recognition. Every near miss that followed, losing an early detective pilot, surrendering Indiana Jones's fedora to scheduling, stacked silent tension beneath the surface. Tightening his baritone and proving charisma is a craft, not a gift. By the time CBS rolled cameras on a mustached private investigator, the man behind the smile had already memorized the physics of persistence. The audience simply turned on its televisions and caught up, unaware that Detroit determination powered every frame. Success landed like a trade wind. The night Magnum Pie premiered, transforming Ahu's surf into primetime wallpaper and catapulting its star into global shortathand for breezy competence. Yet, the Ferrari's sheen masked 40 dawn call times, humid 12-hour takes, and orthopedic invoices, bone spurs shaved, shoulder cartilage sewn, lumbar nerves freed by microasectomy. Recovery became rehearsal. Nutrition, the script, meditation, the end credits, barn chores, the unseen beer roll that kept tendons honest. Viewers saw only the crooked grin. Backstage lived ice baths, turmeric tonics, and line runs paced to beat. That hidden gym of endurance taught Selleck that heroes aren't born. They're rebuilt, repatched, and re-released each season with stronger scenes than before. A principle that steered him through box office triumphs, quiet TV movies, and the decade-spanning gravitas of Commissioner Frank Reagan on Blue Bloods. Today, that discipline fuels a portfolio measured in lives changed rather than Nielsen points. Homeward Valor pairs rescue dogs with combat veterans, each leash clip blending to wounded narratives into one healing arc. A scholarship program channels residual checks toward first-generation filmmakers who once pirated inspiration on cracked phone screens. When wildfires char Ventura, ridgelines, his pickup trade scripts for saplings, proving that storytelling can restore soil as surely as hearts. Creative fire still burns. A streaming Western adaptation of Elmore Leonard insists on practical stunts. A Smithsonian cattle trail documentary resonates in the baritone that once sold razors. A photo essay of motorcycle Americana captures sunrise. Truck stops along Route 66. Each venture honors a house rule: truth before gloss, ensuring every late career credit stitches authentically into a tapestry now spanning 5 decades of American culture. So, as the sun slides behind twin skylines, one of soundstage trusses, the other of avocado rows, Tom Selleck closes another day in a life still rolling. Tomorrow may demand a commissioner's speech, a chainsaw on a fire line, or a 3 a.m. rewrite. He'll answer with the same calm stride that guided him from Detroit sidewalks to Honolulu beaches and into millions of homes. The takeaway embedded in every frame is clear. Integrity ages well, curiosity travels light, and gratitude keeps the spotlight from blistering the performer beneath it. If this journey inspired you, drop a thought below, share the story forward, And stay tuned for our next portrait of an American.